Welcome to this explainer where we're going to unpack the brilliant biological engineering of plants. Have you ever just looked at a simple leaf and wondered what is actually going on inside? Today we're exploring exactly how they function as highly efficient, self-sustaining, zero-waste solar factories. Let's dive straight into the microscopic structures that make life on Earth possible.
You know, it's pretty mind-blowing when you really think about how a plant solves its most fundamental problem. Unlike animals, a plant can't just move around to find food. It's totally stationary. So it has to generate its own energy, using just the ambient air, the water in the ground, and the sunlight beating down on it. It literally manufactures its own food out of thin air. So how exactly does it pull off this incredible feat of engineering?
Well, to understand our leaf factory, we first need to define its main manufacturing process, photosynthesis. This is that magical process where plants use light energy to produce carbohydrates. And this entire operation takes place mainly inside the chloroplasts of the leaf cells. As you'll see, every single structure we're about to look at is perfectly adapted to make this specific process as efficient as possible.
In this explainer, we'll take a spatial journey straight through this factory, starting with the perfect photosynthesis machine, moving to the outer defense layer, checking the stomata security dates, diving into the mesophyll engine room, and finishing up with the vascular bundles, or leaf plumbing.
Section 1. The perfect photosynthesis machine, macro-level adaptations. All right, let's start wide. Before we even get a microscope out, the visible shape of a broadleaf tells us a whole lot about its function. Notice how broad and flat they are? This totally maximizes surface area. To put that into perspective, if you unfolded all the leaves on a mature oak tree, they could cover half a football field. This huge area ensures they absorb the absolute maximum amount of sunlight and carbon dioxide. Notice also how incredibly thin they are. That drastically reduces the distance carbon dioxide actually has to travel to reach the cells where photosynthesis happens. These macro-level adaptations perfectly set up the leaf to capture as much solar energy and raw material as possible, as quickly as possible.
Section 2. The outer defense layer, the roof and floor of the factory.
Okay, let's zoom in microscopically to the very top and bottom layers of our leaf factory, which we call the epidermis. Notice the brilliant contrast between the two here. The upper cells act exactly like a clear skylight. They lack chloroplasts and are completely transparent, letting sunlight beam straight through while acting as a tough shield against disease-causing pathogens. Meanwhile, the lower epidermis acts as a protective base layer, but with a twist. It's a porous floor filled with tiny openings for gas exchange. Now, covering that upper skylight is something called the cuticle, which is a waxy layer secreted by those upper epidermal cells. You can think of it as the factory's custom Gore-Tex roof. When that midday sun is just beating down, this waterproof wax is absolutely crucial for preventing the leaf from sweating away its precious internal water supply to evaporation. Section 3. Stomata, the security gates controlling the flow of gases. Moving back to the underside of the leaf, we run into the crucial security gates of our factory, nestled right there in the lower epidermis. We call these stomata. Stomata are simply pores that allow the essential carbon dioxide needed for photosynthesis to move into the leaf and the oxygen produced as a byproduct to move out. But these aren't just open holes. Each stomata is surrounded by a pair of guard cells. These guard cells act exactly like automated security doors, literally changing their shape to determine whether the pore is open or closed based on what the plant needs right at that moment. And here is how this ingenious mechanism actually works. During the day, the leaf desperately needs carbon dioxide, right? So water moves into the guard cells via osmosis, causing them to swell up like little balloons, bending outward to force the pore open. But at night, the whole process reverses. The water drains out, the cells shrink, and those security doors slam shut to conserve moisture. It is a perfect trade-off. It stops water loss when it's dark because, hey, without light, photosynthesis can't happen anyway. Section 4. Mesophyll, the engine room, where the real manufacturing happens. Peeling back that outer epidermis, we step right into the middle tissue layer known as the mesophyll. This is truly the engine room of our factory, and it's divided into two highly specialized zones. Up top, right under the skylight, is the Palisade Mesophyll. These long structures act as incredibly dense solar panels. They are utterly packed with chloroplasts to maximize the conversion of light into chemical energy. Below them is the Spongy Mesophyll. They still photosynthesize, but they are spherical and fit very loosely together.
So why the loose fit? Well, it creates a totally vital internal ventilation system. These air spaces facilitate rapid gas exchange. Carbon dioxide diffuses directly into the cells down a concentration gradient, while oxygen moves out. Plus, this open space is absolutely essential for transpiration, allowing water vapor to move from the cells into the air spaces and eventually out through those stomata security gates we just talked about. Section 5. Vascular Bundles. Leaf plumbing, transporting raw materials and products.
Now, no factory can operate without plumbing and a shipping department, right? In the leaf, this is handled by a branching network of veins made up of vascular bundles. On the interior of the bundle is the xylem. These are the intake pipes, transporting water and mineral ions directly from the roots all the way up to the leaf. On the exterior is the phloem. That's the shipping department, carrying the freshly manufactured sugars and amino acids completely away from the leaf to feed the rest of the plant. By breaking down these structures, the epidermis, the stromata, the mesophyll, the vascular bundles, it becomes remarkably clear just how perfectly adapted this biological machine really is. Every single layer represents a scenario where form directly enables function, all working together in this unified microscopic symphony to maximize output and keep the whole plant alive. Which brings us to one final thought. If a seemingly simple leaf can organically engineer such a perfectly balanced, responsive, zero-waste solar factory using just sunlight, water, and air, what other incredible designs might we unlock by studying the rest of the natural world? I hope this explainer has completely transformed how you look at the trees outside your window. Keep questioning the amazing biological engineering all around us.